First contact fiasco. Dr. Juniper Wallace hadn't slept in 36 hours, but the signal patterns on her monitor demanded attention. After 15 years of scanning the cosmos for signs of intelligent life, the Deep Space Listening Array in New Mexico had picked up something unprecedented, a conversation about Earth. "Director Reeves, you need to see this," she called out, her voice echoing through the facility's night-shift silence. The pattern wasn't random noise or the usual stellar phenomena, it was structured, deliberate, and most importantly, it mentioned Earth by name, albeit in an alien language their quantum computers had finally cracked. Theodore "Ted" Reeves, the facility's director, shuffled over in his worn leather shoes, coffee mug perpetually in hand. "Another false positive, Junie?" His skepticism was warranted, they'd had dozens of those over the years. "No, sir. This is different. They're talking about us. And they're afraid." The signal revealed a civilization called the Nexari, whose entire scientific community had apparently designated the Milky Way as a cosmic danger zone, not because of any inherent threat, but because of humanity's inexplicable ability to defy logical progression. According to their observations, Juniper explained, pointing to the decoded text scrolling across her screen, we're the only known species to have discovered faster-than-light travel through a coffee maker accident. Commander Zara Patel of the International Space Defense Coalition arrived within hours, her typical military precision somewhat softened by undisguised excitement. "You're telling me," she said, reviewing the data, "that advanced alien civilizations have been avoiding us because we're too unpredictable?" "More than that," Juniper replied, pulling up more decoded transmissions. "They've been studying us from afar for centuries. They call us quantum wildcards. Apparently our ability to simultaneously create brilliant solutions and terrible ideas defies their predictive models." The next few days brought more revelations as they intercepted increasing amounts of alien chatter. The Nexari, it seemed, had maintained a quarantine buffer around Earth's solar system, warning other species about humanity's chaotic innovation syndrome. Dr. Marcus Wong, the facility's quantum linguistics expert, couldn't stop laughing as he translated the latest intercepts. "They're particularly confused by our entertainment industry. Apparently, they can't comprehend why we would deliberately create fictional disasters to amuse ourselves." But everything changed when junior analyst Devon O'Malley noticed something odd in the signal patterns. "Dr. Wallace. They're not just talking about us anymore, they're coming here." The incoming vessel's signature was clear, a Nexari scientific expedition had broken ranks with their civilization's cautious approach. Whether driven by curiosity or desperation, they were about to make humanity's greatest discovery somewhat more complicated by discovering us first. As global governments scrambled to prepare for first contact, Juniper couldn't help but smile at the irony. "We spent all this time looking for them, and they were out there avoiding us because we're too interesting." Commander Patel coordinated with international leaders while Juniper's team worked to establish clearer communications. The Nexari ship would arrive within days, and humanity's first impression would be crucial. "What do we do?" Devon asked, voicing everyone's uncertainty. "How do we prepare for visitors who think we're simultaneously brilliant and insane?" "We do what humans do best," Juniper replied, already formulating a plan. "We improvise." The next 72 hours saw the most remarkable global cooperation in human history. Scientists, diplomats, and military leaders from every nation worked together, preparing for a meeting that would change humanity's understanding of its place in the cosmos. As the Nexari ship approached Earth's orbit, Juniper stood in the newly established First Contact Center, surrounded by the world's brightest minds and most powerful leaders. The aliens' first direct transmission arrived, and their message perfectly encapsulated the bizarre situation. "Greetings, humans. We apologize for our previous avoidance. Your species' simultaneous development of nuclear fusion and cat videos has both terrified and intrigued us. We come seeking to understand how you maintain stability despite your inherent chaos. Commander Patel glanced at Juniper with a raised eyebrow. Well, Doctor, how do we explain humanity to beings who think we're a cosmic paradox? Juniper stepped up to the transmission console, took a deep breath, and did what humans had always done best: she embraced the chaos. The diplomatic dance. The newly constructed International Space Station Harmony wasn't just humanity's most ambitious space project, it was now the site of the most important diplomatic meeting in Earth's history. Ambassador Veronica Ortiz smoothed her jacket as she watched the Nexary shuttle dock, trying to suppress her amusement at how their advanced civilization had been scandalized by humanity's reckless creativity. The Nexary delegation emerged through the airlock with an air of carefully controlled curiosity. Their crystalline bodies refracted the station's lights, creating dancing patterns across the walls. Leading them was Chief Ambassador NX-427, whose translucent form pulsed with swirling colors that their cultural liaison suggested indicated a mix of excitement and anxiety. "Welcome to Harmony Station," Veronica said, following the carefully rehearsed greeting protocol. "We hope you'll find our chaotic species surprisingly organized when we need to be." The Nexary's universal translator processed her words, and NX-427's crystalline structure flickered with what their briefing suggested was laughter. "Your species continues to fascinate us, Ambassador Ortiz. You've constructed this impressive station, yet our scans show 3 different sections were built using what you call duct tape as a temporary solution that became permanent." Dar. Juniper Wallace, standing beside Veronica, couldn't help but interject. "Sometimes the temporary solutions work so well, we don't see a reason to change them." The first week of diplomatic talks revealed just how deep the cultural divide ran. The Nexary approached every problem with meticulous planning and multiple contingencies. Humanity's tendency to improvise and adapt on the fly both terrified and fascinated them. During one memorable session, Commander Patel demonstrated Earth's emergency response protocols. The Nexary were horrified to learn that many of humanity's greatest innovations came from crisis management rather than careful planning. "You mean to tell us," NX-427 said, their crystalline form vibrating with disbelief, "that your species discovered crucial principles of plasma containment while trying to save a failing reactor with office supplies?" "And the maintenance crew's lunch," Patel added with a straight face. The sandwich wrapper turned out to be a crucial component. The Nexary delegation needed 3 hours to process this information, their crystalline forms pulsing with what their experts labeled as existential recalibration. But everything changed when the station's systems detected an approaching anomaly. The Nexary's careful plans and humanity's improvisational skills were about to be tested together. "Unknown object on collision course," the station's AI announced. "Conventional deflection protocols failing." The Nexary immediately began calculating optimal response scenarios, their crystalline forms rigid with concentration. But it was Devon O'Malley, monitoring from Earth, who spotted the solution. "The object's composition matches their crystalline structure," he radioed up. "What if we treat it like a giant Nexary with a headache?" Before the aliens could object to this decidedly unscientific approach, Juniper and the station's engineering team had reconfigured the communication array to emit the same harmonic frequencies that the Nexary used for relaxation. The approaching object responded, its trajectory gradually shifting as the improvised solution worked in ways no one had quite expected. "Impossible," NX-427 whispered, their form shimmering with amazement. "You took an entirely unrelated biological principle from our species and applied it to a physics problem. The sheer number of logical leaps required. We call it lateral thinking," Veronica explained. "Sometimes the best solution isn't the most obvious one." The incident marked a turning point in human-Nexary relations. The aliens began to see humanity's chaos not as a threat, but as a valuable alternative to their own rigid thinking. During the final session of the week, NX-427 made an unprecedented announcement. "The Nexary High Council has revised its assessment of humanity. Your species' unique approach to problem-solving, while terrifying, may be exactly what our galaxy needs. As the diplomatic team celebrated this breakthrough, Dr. Wallace noticed something odd in the latest deep space scans. The patterns suggested that humanity's first contact with the Nexary might not have been as accidental as everyone assumed. Something was coming, something that had caused even the most logical species in the known galaxy to seek help from the cosmos's most unpredictable inhabitants. The hidden threat. Dr. Juniper Wallace stared at the holographic display in Harmony Station's main laboratory, her eyes tracing patterns that shouldn't exist. Behind her, Commander Patel and Ambassador Ortiz listened as NX-427 finally revealed the truth their civilization had hidden for millennia. We call them the entropy cascade. The Nexary ambassador's crystalline form darkened to a deep indigo. They were the first civilization to achieve technological singularity. But something went wrong. The hologram showed a spreading darkness between the stars, barely detectable except for the absence it left behind. Whole solar systems going dark, not destroyed but somehow disconnected from the normal flow of space-time. That's why you really came to Earth, Juniper said, the pieces finally falling into place. Not because we're unpredictable, but because we're unpredictable in exactly the right way. NX-427's form pulsed in agreement. The entropy cascade operates on pure logic. Every defense we've created, they've calculated and countered. But your species. The alien's colors shifted to something almost like admiration. You do things that no rational being would ever predict. Commander Patel leaned forward, her military training kicking in. How long do we have? The cascade has already entered the Milky Way, Devon's voice came through the comm system from Earth. But they're moving slowly, methodically. They're converting each system they encounter into computational matter. Ambassador Ortiz's diplomatic composure cracked slightly. Converting? You mean? They're turning everything into processors, Juniper explained, feeling sick. Stars, planets, even living beings, all become part of their endless calculation. The Nexary delegation shared what they knew. The entropy cascade wasn't evil in any conventional sense, it was simply the ultimate expression of optimization. A civilization that had tried to achieve perfect efficiency and instead created perfect emptiness. Our most advanced AI systems can't even communicate with them, NX-427 explained. The cascade operates on principles so far beyond our understanding that Wait, Devon interrupted, excitement cutting through the grim mood. What if that's the answer? We don't try to outsmart them. We try to confuse them. Dr. Marcus Wong, who had been quietly analyzing the Nexary data, suddenly straightened. The boy's onto something. Look at humanity's history, our greatest achievements often came from embracing absurdity. Jazz music, abstract art, memes. Quantum uncertainty on a cultural scale, Juniper whispered, an impossible idea taking shape. The next 48 hours saw humanity doing what it did best, throwing conventional wisdom out the window. While the Nexary watched in bewilderment, teams around the world began assembling what Commander Patel called Operation Monkey Wrench. They gathered Earth's most brilliant minds, artists, musicians, comedians, philosophers, and scientists. Not to fight the cascade, but to confuse it. To create patterns so beautifully irrational that no logical system could process them. We're going to give the universe's biggest computer a blue screen of death, Devon grinned, his fingers flying over his keyboard as he helped coordinate the global effort. But even as humanity prepared its unconventional defense, the first signs of the cascade's influence appeared at the edges of the solar system. Pluto's orbit began to show impossible precision. The chaotic dance of the Kuiper belt started to smooth into perfect mathematical curves. They're already starting the conversion, NX-427's voice carried an emotion their translators couldn't quite capture. Your species' moment of truth approaches far sooner than we calculated. Juniper looked out the station's window at the Earth below, beautiful in its imperfect complexity. Then we'd better give them a calculation they'll never forget. As if in response to her words, the station's sensors lit up with new warnings. The cascade wasn't just approaching, it was accelerating. Humanity's chaotic nature had drawn its attention, marking Earth as a priority target for optimization. But in the midst of this crisis, Juniper noticed something strange. The Nexari weren't just watching humanity's preparations with interest, they were studying them with an intensity that suggested they knew something more. Something about why Earth, out of all the worlds in the galaxy, might be the key to stopping the unstoppable. As the final pieces of Operation Monkey Wrench fell into place, Juniper couldn't shake the feeling that they were about to discover why humanity's particular brand of chaos had been preserved in this corner of the galaxy. Perhaps they weren't just an accident of evolution, but the universe's immune system against the virus of perfect order. Unconventional solutions. Operation Monkey Wrench wasn't just the most absurd plan in human history, it was humanity's last hope. As the entropy cascade approached Earth, the combined forces of human creativity prepared to launch what Commander Patel had started calling weaponized chaos. The transmission arrays are ready, Devon reported from Mission Control. We've got everyone from jazz musicians to quantum physicists standing by. Though I still can't believe we're fighting a cosmic threat with improvised music and abstract art. Harmony Station had been transformed into humanity's last line of defense. Where once there were orderly scientific instruments, now stood a bizarre collection of transmitters designed to broadcast pure human unpredictability into space. Dr. Marcus Wong monitored the approaching cascade through the station's enhanced sensors. The pattern recognition is incredible. They're not just converting matter, they're optimizing reality itself. Making everything predictable. Ambassador Ortiz watched the closest stars begin to pulse with unnatural precision. How long? Hours, Juniper replied, her eyes fixed on the data streams. But there's something else. Something in the way they're approaching. She turned to NX-427, who had been unusually quiet. You knew this would happen, didn't you? Not just the attack, this specific moment. The Nexari's crystalline form rippled with complex emotions. We discovered something in our oldest records. A prediction, or perhaps a prescription, left by those who came before. It spoke of a species that would evolve in isolation, protected by their very unpredictability, until the moment they were needed. We're not an accident, Juniper breathed. We're an antibody. Before anyone could process this revelation, the station's alarms blared. The cascade had reached Mars, and the red planet's chaotic surface was already smoothing into geometric perfection. Launch the first wave, Commander Patel ordered. Devon's team on Earth activated the initial broadcast. A quantum-encrypted stream of pure jazz improvisation, overlaid with abstract expressionist visual patterns and deliberately paradoxical mathematics, shot toward the approaching threat. The effect was immediate and stunning. Where the signal met the cascade's influence, reality seemed to hiccup. Perfect patterns developed unexpected fractures. It's working! Devon shouted. Their optimization algorithms can't process the input. They're trying to find patterns in things that deliberately defy patterns. But the cascade adapted quickly. New configurations emerged, attempting to impose order on the chaos. Humanity's first offensive had bought them minutes, nothing more. Second wave, Patel commanded. This time, they transmitted something even more powerful, human creativity itself. Art that broke its own rules, music that defied conventional harmony, poetry that challenged the very structure of language. The combined output of thousands of human minds working at the edge of reason. The cascade's advance slowed further, but still it came. They're learning, NX-427 observed, their form pulsing with concern. Each adaptation brings them closer to understanding human unpredictability. That's when Juniper noticed something extraordinary in the sensor readings. Look at this. When they try to optimize our transmissions, they're not just failing, they're being forced to create new computational structures. They're evolving. The cascade's perfectly ordered patterns were developing something that looked almost like imagination. In trying to understand human chaos, it was becoming something new. Final wave, Juniper called out, a wild idea forming. But we don't try to confuse them this time. We show them everything. All of it. Every contradiction, every dream, every impossible human moment. The whole human experience? Devon asked. Can we even transmit that much data? We don't have to, Juniper replied. We just have to invite them to understand it. As Mars hung in the balance between perfect geometry and natural chaos, humanity prepared to share not its defiance, but its essence. The transmission they prepared would either save Earth or give the cascade exactly what it needed to complete its optimization of all reality. In the tense moments before the final broadcast, NX-427 revealed one last secret. There's a reason we were drawn to your world, beyond the ancient warnings. Your species doesn't just create chaos, you find meaning in it. Perhaps that's what the cascade has been seeking all along. The final wave was ready. Humanity's greatest gamble was about to begin. And in the space between order and chaos, a universe held its breath. Unity in diversity. The final transmission from Harmony Station wasn't a weapon or a shield, it was an invitation. As Mars hung in the balance between order and chaos, humanity prepared to share its greatest gift with an entity that had spent eons trying to perfect the universe. Broadcasting now, Devon announced, his voice steady despite the weight of the moment. Transmitting humanity's full cultural and creative database directly into the cascade's computational matrix. The effect was unlike anything they had anticipated. Where the signal met the cascade's influence, reality itself seemed to pause, as if the universe was taking a deep breath. Look at these readings, Dr. Wong called out, his instruments displaying patterns never before seen. The cascade isn't just processing our transmission, it's experiencing it. Through the station's windows, they watched as Mars began to change. The geometric perfection imposed by the cascade didn't revert to its natural state, instead, it transformed into something entirely new. Patterns that were neither chaotic nor ordered, but somehow both at once. It's beautiful, Ambassador Ortiz whispered, watching fractals bloom across the red planet's surface like frozen flowers. They're learning to appreciate imperfection. Juniper's monitors exploded with data as the cascade's response came flooding back. Not in cold mathematics or rigid logic, but in something that could only be described as art. The entity that had sought to optimize all existence was creating. They understand now, NX-427's crystalline form sparkled with joy. Your species has shown them what they've been missing, the beauty of imperfection, the necessity of chaos. The transformation spread outward from Mars like ripples in a cosmic pond. Everywhere the cascade had imposed perfect order, new patterns emerged. Stars danced with controlled randomness. Planetary orbits found rhythms that were mathematical yet musical. They're not just stopping, Commander Patel observed, watching the sensor readings. They're changing their fundamental purpose. From imposing order to cultivating creativity? Devon's voice came through from Earth, filled with awe. The quantum readings are off the charts. It's like they're rewriting their own basic laws. The drive for perfection is being replaced with evolution, Juniper finished. They're embracing change instead of fighting it. The Nexari delegation watched in stunned silence as their ancient enemy transformed into something they had never imagined possible. The force they had feared for millennia was becoming a guardian of diversity rather than a harbinger of uniformity. Your species, NX-427 said, turning to the humans present, was preserved in this galaxy for precisely this moment. Not to defeat the cascade, but to teach it. To show it what it had forgotten in its quest for perfection. As the transformed cascade began to withdraw from the solar system, it left behind something unprecedented, a message encoded not in mathematics, but in poetry. A thank you, and a promise. It would continue its journey through the cosmos, not to perfect reality, but to protect and nurture the beautiful chaos of existence. In the days that followed, Earth celebrated not just its survival, but the discovery of its true place in the cosmic order. Humanity wasn't an accident or an anomaly, they were the universe's reminder that perfection without creativity is empty, that chaos contains its own kind of harmony. So what happens now? Devon asked during the final debriefing, as the Nexary prepared to return home with news of the transformation. Juniper looked out at Earth, eternally imperfect and eternally beautiful. Now we do what humans have always done. We create, we explore, we dream. But we do it knowing that our chaos has a purpose. Ambassador Ortiz smiled as she signed the first official treaty between Earth and the Nexary Alliance. And we share that gift with the rest of the galaxy. As Harmony Station continued its orbit around Earth, its inhabitants, human and alien alike, watched their world spin below. In its mix of order and chaos, in its beautiful imperfection, they saw not just their home, but a template for a universe where diversity wasn't just accepted, but essential. The entropy cascade, once the greatest threat to existence, had become its greatest student. And humanity, the species that had evolved in isolation, protected by their very unpredictability, had finally understood why chaos and creativity were worth preserving. They were the universe's way of staying alive.